The stars were silent. A lone human ship drifted near the edge of a dying star. The flames of the sun flickered weakly, as if even the universe had grown tired. Inside the ship, one man worked quietly. His name was Captain Daniel Hayes, an old astronaut who had spent too many years in the endless dark. Daniel fixed broken wires, checked blinking lights, and sighed. The ship was not in good shape, just like him. He had no family, no friends, only the cold voice of machines around him. In the silence of space, loneliness was his only companion. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence. It was faint at first, like a whisper in static. Daniel froze. He looked around the control room. The comm system flickered as if someone, or something, was trying to speak. Then a small trembling voice came through. "Hello? Can you hear me?" Daniel's heart jumped. It was the voice of a child, soft, scared, and not human. He leaned closer. "Who is this? Identify yourself." There was a pause. Then the voice returned, shaky and sad. "Please, can you help my mom? She is so lonely." Daniel's chest tightened. He knew loneliness too well, but this was impossible. A child, out here at the edge of nowhere? He pressed buttons, trying to trace the signal. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared outside his window. A tiny pod drifted near his ship, glowing softly against the black space. Inside the pod, through a clear window, Daniel saw her, a small alien girl. Her skin was pale silver, glowing gently like moonlight. Her eyes were large and bright, filled with both innocence and sorrow. She couldn't be more than 7 or 8 in human years. She pressed her tiny hands against the window and whispered again, this time directly through the comm link. "Please, can you help my mom?" Daniel sat frozen. His mind screamed trap. Pirates often use tricks. Lure victims with fake distress calls, then strike. But his heart told him this was different. He answered carefully. "Where are you from, little one? Why are you alone?" The girl looked down. Her voice shook. "I came to find someone. For my mom. She is so lonely. Her birthday is tomorrow. She cries every year. She says she wishes someone would stand beside her again." Daniel frowned. "Again? What do you mean?" The girl lifted her head, her glowing eyes full of tears. "She misses my father. He never came back, so I came to find one." Silence filled the cabin. Daniel's breath grew heavy. He could not believe what he had just heard. The little alien girl pressed her hands harder against the glass. "Please," she begged softly. "Can you be my dad? At her birthday party?" The words stabbed Daniel's heart like a blade. He almost laughed, thinking it had to be some kind of dream. Him, a father? He had failed at being even a friend to anyone in years. Yet the child's eyes held no lies, only desperation. Daniel looked at the pod again. It was fragile, barely held together. No weapons, no soldiers hiding inside. Just one lonely child drifting in the dark, searching for hope. He whispered to himself, "What are you doing, Daniel? Don't be a fool." But the voice inside him, the voice that had been quiet for so long, spoke louder. "She needs you." The girl's voice cracked again through the comm. "Please, mister. Just for one day. Just so my mom can smile. She thinks she is forgotten. She thinks no one cares." Daniel closed his eyes. Memories rushed back, his own mother long gone. The family he never built. The birthdays he spent alone, staring at the cold stars. Slowly he opened the comm. "All right," he said, his voice rough but gentle. "Show me where you live." The girl gasped, her face lighting up with sudden joy. Her tears turned into a small, glowing smile. Thank you," she cried. She tapped buttons inside her pod, and suddenly a strange map appeared on Daniel's screen. A hidden path through a wormhole glowing like liquid fire. Daniel stared at it. Every warning in his mind screamed danger. A hidden planet? A strange wormhole? He should turn back, but he didn't. Instead, he prepared his ship. The girl's pod floated closer, guiding him toward the unknown. As his ship moved into position, Daniel glanced once more at the small alien child. She pressed her hand against the window, smiling at him with hope that almost broke his soul. Then she whispered, just before the wormhole opened, "Don't be afraid. Dad, we're almost home." Daniel's chest tightened. For the first time in years, his heart beat faster. Not from fear, but from something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. The wormhole began to glow brighter, pulling them in. And as Daniel's ship followed the little girl into the unknown, he realized one truth. This was no ordinary encounter. This was the beginning of something that could change his life. Forever. The wormhole stretched before them like a tunnel of fire and glass. Daniel's ship rattled as it followed the fragile pod of the little alien girl. Colors swirled around them, blue lightning, golden streams, shadows that looked like faces watching from the void. Daniel gripped the controls tightly. His ship was old, and he wasn't sure it could survive this strange path. Yet the girl's pod moved smoothly as if she had traveled this road many times. He muttered to himself, "What am I doing? Following a child into a death trap?" But deep inside, he already knew the answer. Loneliness had been his cage for years, and now a child's voice had opened the door. The wormhole ended with a sudden flash. His ship burst into a quiet part of space he had never seen before. It was breathtaking. A hidden planet floated below, wrapped in a glowing shield of light. Its skies shimmered with strange colors, and broken towers rose from the surface like silent giants. It was beautiful and sad. The little girl's voice crackled through the calm. "This is our home, please. Follow me." Her pod descended, guiding Daniel's ship through the shimmering shield. As they entered, Daniel's scanners went wild. The shield was not just light. It was made of living energy, protecting the planet from outsiders. Inside, the world looked wounded. The ground was scarred, buildings were in ruins, and the air carried a soft glow of grief. Daniel realized this was no paradise. It was a place that had been attacked, hurt, and left alone. The girl's pod landed gently on a platform made of stone. Daniel brought his ship down beside it, engines humming softly as he shut them off. He took a deep breath and stepped outside. The air was strange but breathable. The platform stretched over a valley where alien trees glowed faint blue. Shadows of old battles scarred the land. Burned craters, broken weapons, silent wreckage. The girl ran to him, her small feet tapping against the stone. She smiled, though her eyes still carried sadness. "Come," she said softly. "My mom is waiting." Daniel followed her through a narrow path carved into the rock. As they walked, his mind kept asking questions. Why me? Why here? Why now? The path opened into a great hall built from black stone and glowing crystals. Strange symbols covered the walls, flickering with soft light. At the center of the hall stood a figure, the girl's mother. She was tall and graceful, her silver skin shining like moonlight. Her long hair flowed like liquid crystal, and her eyes carried both beauty and pain. She turned slowly as her daughter ran to her, arms open. "Mom," the child cried, hugging her tightly. "I found him." The woman bent down, holding her child with trembling arms. Her voice was low and calm, but Daniel felt the weight of sorrow in it. "You should not have gone beyond the shield, my little star," she whispered. "But I had to," the girl insisted, pointing at Daniel. "I found him. He will come to your birthday. You won't be alone anymore." The mother's eyes shifted to Daniel. They were sharp, filled with questions, almost like blades. For a long moment, silence hung in the air. Finally, she spoke. "Human, why are you here?" Daniel stood tall, though his heart pounded. "Your daughter found me. She asked me to come. She said you were lonely." The woman's face darkened. She closed her eyes as if fighting tears. "My daughter is too young to understand," she said slowly. "This is not a game. Loneliness is not cured by strangers." The girl clung to her mother's arm. "But he's different, Mom. He listened to me. He came here, please. Just this once. Don't send him away." Daniel looked at them both. His voice softened. "I know loneliness. I've lived with it for years. Maybe I can't take away your pain. But if my presence gives you even a moment of peace, I'll stay." The mother stared at him, searching his eyes. At last she sighed and turned away. "You may join us," she said quietly. "But understand this, human. If you stay, leaving will not be so easy." Her words sent a chill down Daniel's spine. They sounded less like a warning and more like a prophecy. The girl clapped her hands with joy. "Yes, he will come to your birthday, Mom." The mother managed a small smile, though it was fragile, like glass ready to break. "Very well. Tomorrow we will celebrate. For the first time in many years, perhaps there will be laughter again." Daniel nodded, though unease gnawed at him. What kind of birthday needed a stranger to play father? What pain haunted this family so deeply? As night fell over the glowing valley, the girl showed him to a chamber where he could rest. The walls shimmered with soft light and alien patterns danced like stars. but sleep would not come easily. Daniel lay awake, staring at the strange ceiling. He thought of the girl's pleading eyes, the mother's warning voice, the ruined world outside. Something was hidden here, something far greater than a birthday party. And as the alien winds whispered against the stone walls, Daniel felt it deep in his bones. This invitation was not just about loneliness, it was the beginning of a test he could not yet understand. The alien night was soft but uneasy. Strange lights moved across the sky like slow rivers, and the ruins below glowed faintly in the darkness. Daniel could not sleep. The girl's words echoed in his head. Please be my dad at her birthday party. Why would a child ask that of a stranger? Why would a mother allow her daughter to wander the stars in a fragile pod? Something was wrong here. He could feel it. Morning came slowly. A soft golden glow spread over the horizon, bathing the stone halls in gentle light. The girl entered Daniel's chamber, smiling brightly. Come, it's time, she said, pulling his hand. Her eyes shone with excitement, as if this day meant everything. Daniel followed her through long halls. Alien carvings glowed on the walls, telling stories he could not understand. Battles, losses, and broken families. Everywhere there was a sense of sadness carved into the very stone. At the end of the hall, they entered a chamber. It was large, yet strangely empty, with a single chair of crystal at the center. There she sat, the mother. She was tall, graceful, her silver skin glowing like moonlight. But Daniel noticed the heaviness in her shoulders, the way her eyes avoided the light, the way her hands clenched when she thought no one was watching. The girl ran to her, hugging her waist. Mom, he came. He's here! The mother's eyes lifted slowly to Daniel. They were beautiful but cold like frozen stars. You returned, she said softly. I did not think you would stay. Daniel nodded. Your daughter wanted me here. I gave her my word. Silence filled the chamber. The mother looked at the girl, then back to Daniel. Finally she spoke. She does not understand. She believes that a stranger can replace what was lost. But loneliness is not something so easily cured. Her words cut like a blade. Daniel shifted uncomfortably but stood his ground. Maybe not. But sometimes even a stranger can bring comfort, even for a little while. The girl looked between them with wide, hopeful eyes. See, Mom? He understands. The mother's expression softened for just a moment, but then her face hardened again and her voice lowered. You must know the truth, human. This is no ordinary birthday. It is the day I remember, and the day I mourn. Daniel's chest tightened. He waited. She continued, her voice trembling, though she tried to hide it. Many years ago on this day, my mate, her father, fell. He fought to protect us when the raiders came. He promised he would return. But he never did. Since then, every year my daughter hopes, and every year I remind her he is gone. The girl hugged her mother's arm tightly. But this year is different. I found him someone. I found you. The mother closed her eyes as if the words were too heavy to bear. Daniel's heart ached. He had known loss, but this was deeper. This was a wound that never healed. Finally, the mother stood. She walked slowly toward Daniel, her steps graceful but heavy with sorrow. She stopped only a few feet away. Why are you really here? She asked, her voice sharp now. Was it pity that brought you? Or curiosity? Do you think you can play a role for one night and then leave? Daniel held her gaze. I'm here because your daughter asked me, and because I know what it feels like to be alone. I won't pretend I can replace him. But if I can give her a smile even for one day, then maybe it's worth it. The mother studied him in silence. Her eyes softened slightly, but her voice carried warning. Be careful, human. This world may look quiet, but it is not safe. If you stay for the celebration, you may not leave as easily as you think. The words lingered in the air, heavy and mysterious. Before Daniel could answer, the girl clapped her hands. Come, we must prepare. There will be lights, music, and food. It will be the best birthday ever. Her joy was bright, almost enough to chase away the shadows in the room. Almost. The mother placed a gentle hand on her daughter's head, forcing a small smile. Yes, little star. We will prepare. As they left the chamber, Daniel walked behind them, his thoughts a storm. The mother's eyes, the sorrow in her voice, the warning in her words, none of it left his mind. That evening, Daniel stood outside looking over the alien valley. He saw broken cities, glowing trees, and skies that seemed to bleed color. It was beautiful, but it felt fragile, like a world always on the edge of collapse. The girl ran past him laughing, carrying strange decorations. Her laughter filled the air, innocent and pure. But Daniel's eyes turned to the mother who stood alone at the edge of the platform, staring at the horizon. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried storms he could not name. She whispered to herself, words Daniel barely caught in the wind. Every birthday is a reminder that promises can be broken. Daniel's chest grew heavy. He knew this birthday was more than a party. It was a wound reopening, a pain too deep to heal. And as the alien winds whispered around him, Daniel realized the truth. This was not just about loneliness, it was about survival. It was about scars that still bled. And tomorrow, when the birthday began, he would step into a story far larger and far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. The alien city awoke with strange colors. Crystals on broken towers began to glow, and the ruined streets filled with soft music that drifted like wind. It was not a happy world, but for one day the people tried to remember joy. Daniel followed the little girl through the busy halls. She held his hand tightly, her excitement almost pulling him forward. Her silver skin shimmered in the morning light, and her eyes were bright with hope. "Today is special," she whispered. "You will see. My mom will smile again." "I know it," Daniel wanted to believe her. He looked around at the alien people preparing the celebration. They moved with quiet determination, decorating the halls with glowing vines, placing crystal lanterns on high walls and spreading food that shimmered with soft light. It reminded him of Earth festivals long ago. Birthdays, weddings, gatherings, but here the joy felt fragile, like it could vanish at any moment. The girl pulled him into the great hall where the celebration would take place. It was larger now, filled with laughter and chatter. Long tables of alien food lined the sides, strange fruits that glowed blue, bread that floated slightly above plates, and drinks that swirled with their own light. Daniel had never seen such wonders. Yet even as he watched, he noticed the people's faces. They smiled, but their smiles did not reach their eyes. Every laugh carried an edge of pain. At the center of it all stood the mother. She wore a robe of silver and crystal flowing like water. Her beauty was undeniable, but her eyes remained distant, as if locked on memories no one else could see. When she noticed Daniel, she gave the smallest nod of acknowledgement. Not warmth, not trust, only acceptance that he was there. The girl ran to her mother, tugging her hand. "Mom, look! He is here. He is ready." The mother's lips curved into a faint smile, fragile as glass. "Then let us begin." Music filled the hall, soft, haunting tones from instruments that glowed when touched. Alien children laughed, running between the tables. Adults spoke quietly, glancing often at Daniel, some curious, some cautious. Daniel stood near the girl, unsure of his place. He felt like a ghost at someone else's memory. But the girl clung to him proudly, introducing him to others. "This is him," she told anyone who would listen. "This is the one who came. This is the one who will stand with us." The words made Daniel's chest tighten. He had never asked to play this role, yet the child's faith in him felt heavier than any duty he had carried as a captain. Soon the lights dimmed. The mother stepped forward, standing tall before her people. Her voice echoed through the hall. "Today, as each year, we gather not only for my birth, but to remember those we lost. We carry scars, but we also carry each other. Let us honor both sorrow and hope." The people lowered their heads, a silence spreading through the hall. Even the girl grew quiet, holding her mother's hand. Daniel felt the weight of the moment. This was no ordinary birthday, it was a ceremony of survival. Then the music shifted. Brighter, lighter. The people clapped softly and children began to dance in circles. The girl pulled Daniel into the center, laughing. "Come on," she said. "You must dance with me." Daniel hesitated. He was a soldier, a pilot, not a dancer. But the child's laughter was so pure, so full of life, that he found himself moving clumsily with her. For a moment, just a small moment, even he laughed. The mother watched. Her eyes softened, if only briefly, as she saw her daughter's joy. But joy never lasted long in this world. Daniel noticed it first. Shadows moving at the edge of the hall. Guards whispering, glancing at the skies. Faces tightening, smiles fading, then he heard it. A distant hum, low, growing louder. Not music, engines. The mother stiffened, her eyes narrowing. She whispered to one of her people who rushed outside. Daniel's instincts flared. He knew that sound too well. the sound of ships approaching. The girl tugged at his hand, still laughing, unaware of the danger. "See, isn't it wonderful?" Daniel forced a smile for her, but his eyes were already scanning the hall, searching for exits, for weapons, for anything. Moments later, alarms echoed through the city. A sharp metallic cry cut through the music. Lights flickered red. The mother's face turned pale, her voice sharp and commanding. "They have found us." The hall erupted in panic. People whispered in fear, some rushing to gather children, others preparing to defend. Daniel's blood ran cold. "Who?" he asked. The mother looked at him, her voice filled with the weight of years of sorrow. "The raiders," she said. "The ones who took him from us. The ones who never stop." Daniel's heart pounded. Now he understood the truth. The birthday was not just a celebration. It was bait for hope, a fragile shield against despair. And now that shield was about to be shattered. The girl pressed herself against him, confused and frightened by the sudden panic. "What's happening? Why is everyone scared?" Daniel knelt, holding her shoulders tightly. He forced his voice to stay calm, though his heart raced. "Stay with me," he said. "No matter what happens, stay close." The mother stepped forward, her silver robes glowing fiercely. She looked at Daniel with eyes that held both fear and desperate trust. "If you truly came to stand with us," she said, her voice trembling but strong, "then stand now, because this is only the beginning." The hum of enemy ships grew louder outside, shaking the hall. Shadows passed over the walls. And Daniel realized as he rose to his feet that he had been pulled into something far greater than a birthday party. This was war. The hum of engines grew louder until the great hall shook with the weight of the sky. The alien music had stopped. Laughter was gone. Only fear remained. Children were pulled into hiding. Guards rushed to the doors, holding glowing weapons that hummed with strange energy. Daniel stood near the girl and her mother, his heart racing. He had seen this before on countless worlds. When raiders came, joy was always the first thing stolen. The mother's face was calm, but her eyes burned with memories that refused to fade. She whispered to her daughter, "Stay close. Do not let go of him." The girl gripped Daniel's hand tightly, trembling. "Why are they here? What do they want?" Daniel knelt down, his voice steady but firm. "Because they take what they want. But we won't let them." A horn-like sound echoed through the city. Then the sky tore open with fire. Raider ships descended like hungry vultures, black and sharp, their engines glowing red. They circled the city with predatory ease, casting shadows across the broken towers. The first blast came without warning. A beam of crimson energy struck the edge of the shield, shaking the ground beneath them. The protective barrier flickered, cracking under the force. The mother's people gasped. Fear spread quickly. The raiders had found them again. Daniel's instincts came alive. "How many times has this happened?" he demanded. The mother's voice was heavy. Every year they come. They never stop." It was during one of these raids that he fell. Her eyes darkened, and Daniel understood. Her mate, the father of the little girl, he had fought and died facing these monsters. The girl's voice trembled. "But this time is different. You are here now. You can protect us, right?" Daniel felt his throat tighten. He wanted to promise safety, but he knew the truth. He was just one man in an old ship, still. He could not walk away. "Stay behind me," he told her. Outside, the raiders' ships fired again, beams pounding against the shield. With each strike, the barrier grew weaker. Sparks rained from the ceiling of the great hall as the energy veins in the walls flickered. Then the shield shattered. A deafening crack filled the air as the barrier exploded into shards of light. The city lay exposed. The raiders screamed down from the skies, firing at the streets. Buildings collapsed, fires spread, and the cries of the people rose into the heavens. The mother stood tall, her silver robe glowing fiercely. She raised her hand, summoning a spear of pure light. Her people followed, rallying to her side. Daniel grabbed a fallen weapon, its crystal edge humming in his grip. It was not like human guns, but it felt alive, pulsing with strange energy. The raiders landed. Black armored figures poured out, tall and monstrous, with jagged helmets that hid their faces. Their weapons spat red fire, cutting down anything in their path. The mother's voice rang out like thunder. "Defend the city. Do not let them take our children." Her people roared, charging into battle. Daniel's blood surged. He pulled the girl behind a pillar, shielding her. "Stay here. No matter what happens, do not move, she clutched his arm. But you'll get hurt. He forced a smile. That's what dads do. He ran into the chaos. The first raider charged at him, swinging a blazing blade. Daniel blocked clumsily with the crystal weapon, sparks exploding. The force nearly knocked him back, but he pushed through, driving the blade forward. The raider fell, its armor hissing with smoke. More came. Daniel fought like a cornered wolf, every instinct from years of survival in space coming alive. His muscles burned, but his spirit refused to break. Nearby, the mother fought with deadly grace, her spear of light cutting through raiders like fire through shadow. But even she was slowing, surrounded by too many enemies. Daniel forced his way to her side, back to back with her as the raiders pressed in. You fight well for a human, she said, her breath heavy. And you fight like you've been doing this your whole life, he answered, striking another enemy down. Her eyes darkened. I have. The battle raged. Fires spread, cries echoed, and blood stained the glowing stones. Yet the raiders showed no sign of stopping. For every one that fell, two more took its place. At the edge of the hall, Daniel saw the girl. She was crying, her small hands pressed together as if praying. Her eyes met his, and for a heartbeat he felt her faith. She believed in him. She believed he could save them. He could not let that faith die. The mother's voice broke through the chaos. They want her, she said fiercely. That is why they come. She carries the last light of our people. If they take her, all hope dies. Daniel's heart froze. Then we fight until there's nothing left. The mother's eyes met his. For the first time, they did not hold sorrow. They held fire. Then stand with me, human. Stand and do not fall. Together they struck again, side by side, their weapons blazing in the smoke and fire. But Daniel knew the truth as he fought. This was not just a raid. This was a war for a future he barely understood, and now he was part of it. The city was burning. Flames climbed broken towers, smoke twisted into the sky, and the cries of the people echoed like thunder. The raiders were everywhere, pouring through the streets like a flood of shadows. Daniel's muscles screamed, his arms heavy, but he did not stop swinging the crystal blade in his hand. Every strike, every block, every step was a fight for survival. The alien mother fought beside him, her spear flashing with deadly light. But even her power was not enough to push the enemy back. The little girl hid behind a pillar, clutching a glowing charm around her neck, tears streaming down her silver face. She whispered over and over as if to herself, "He will protect us." He promised. Daniel heard those words in his heart, and they gave him strength, but strength alone was not enough. The raiders were too many. The alien weapons were powerful, but they were predictable. Beams of light, blasts of energy, spears of crystal. The raiders had learned to counter them. That was why this war never ended. Daniel's mind raced. They expect aliens to fight like aliens. They don't expect a human. He ducked behind a fallen stone wall as a beam scorched the air above him. His breathing was ragged, but his eyes burned with determination. He had fought pirates in asteroid belts, smugglers in empty stations, soldiers in forgotten wars. He had no advanced technology, no glowing weapons, only grit, instinct, and the stubbornness of a man who refused to die. He looked at the mother. They know your moves. They've fought you too many times, but they don't know me. She slashed another raider aside, blood shining on her silver skin. What do you mean? Daniel smirked grimly. I mean it's time to fight the human way. He grabbed a piece of broken metal from the ground, sharp at one end, heavy at the other. Not a weapon of elegance, but one of survival. When the next raider charged, Daniel didn't block the way the aliens did. He ducked low, rolled forward, and slammed the jagged metal straight into the raider's leg joint. The monster roared, stumbling. Daniel finished it with a strike to the throat. The mother's eyes widened. You fight differently. Daniel spat dust and blood. We call it desperation. Word spread quickly among the defenders. The human was not fighting like them. He was fighting like an animal, using the ground, the walls, even the fire itself. He threw dirt in raiders' faces, pulled down burning beams to crush them, and turned rubble into weapons. And slowly, the tide began to shift. The aliens who had been losing hope started to fight with new courage. They followed Daniel's example, using not just their glowing weapons, but the world around them. Stones became shields, ropes became traps, fire became a weapon. For the first time in years, the raiders faltered. The little girl peeked from her hiding place, her eyes wide with awe. She saw her mother fighting like a storm, and the strange human fighting like a wildfire, fierce and unpredictable. And for the first time, she believed victory might be possible. But the battle was far from over. The largest raider ship descended from the clouds, its engines shaking the city. The ground trembled as a massive figure stepped out, a warlord clad in black armor, taller than any soldier Daniel had seen. His voice was a growl that rattled the stones. "You cannot win," he thundered. "You are weak, broken, forgotten. This world is mine." The defenders shrank back. Even the mother gripped her spear tighter, her face pale. She had fought this monster before. She remembered. He was the one who had slain her mate. The girl gasped. "That's him." Daniel stepped forward, bruised, bloodied, but unbroken. His voice was rough but steady. "Funny thing about humans, big guy. We don't know when to quit." The warlord laughed, a deep, cruel sound. "You are only one man." Daniel's grip tightened on his blade. "One man is enough." The mother's eyes met his. For a moment she saw something in him. A fire she thought was lost forever. The same fire her mate once carried. The battle raged again. The warlord struck with a hammer of red fire, shaking the ground. Daniel dodged, barely alive, but his stubbornness refused to let him fall. Each time he was knocked down, he rose again. Each time he bled, he fought harder. The people watched, stunned. They had never seen such madness, such defiance, and something awoke in them. Hope. They surged forward with renewed fury, following the human's lead. They fought with cleverness, with wildness, with unshakable will. For the first time in years, the raiders began to retreat. The warlord roared in rage, lifting his weapon high for a final strike. But before he could bring it down, the mother's spear pierced his side, glowing bright. He staggered, and Daniel, using every ounce of strength left, drove his blade into the crack of the armor. The warlord fell. Silence spread across the burning city. The raiders froze, their leader slain. Slowly, like shadows melting in light, they retreated to their ships, vanishing into the dark sky. The people stared in shock. They had survived, not because of their weapons, not because of their shield, but because of one human who refused to surrender. The little girl ran to Daniel, throwing her arms around him. "You did it. You saved us." Daniel dropped his weapon, breathing hard, his body trembling, but he managed a tired smile. "No, kid. We did it." The mother approached, her spear lowering. Her eyes, once filled with sorrow, now held something new, something she thought she had lost forever: hope. The fires of the city smoldered in the distance. Smoke curled into the strange sky, but the sound of battle was gone. The raiders had fled. Their shadows no longer covered the ruined towers. For the first time in years, the planet was quiet. Daniel stood in the center of the broken hall, leaning on his weapon. His body ached, cuts and bruises covering him, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. Around him, the people whispered in disbelief. They had seen the impossible. The raiders defeated, their warlord slain. The little alien girl ran to him, her silver skin glowing with tears of joy. She hugged him tightly, burying her face against his chest. "You stayed," she whispered. "You really stayed." Daniel bent down, wrapping his tired arms around her. "I told you, didn't I? I wasn't going anywhere." From the corner of his eye, he saw the mother approaching. Her silver robes were torn, her spear broken, but she walked tall. Her eyes were different now, no longer filled with only sorrow. Something else glimmered there: respect, gratitude, and perhaps just a little warmth. She stopped before him, her voice steady. "You saved us. Not with weapons, not with power, but with something we had forgotten." Daniel straightened, his voice quiet. "Hope," she nodded. For a moment, silence stretched between them, filled only by the crackle of distant flames. Then slowly, she extended her hand. "You fought for my people as if they were your own. You stood for my daughter as if she were truly yours. If you wish, you do not have to leave." Daniel looked at her hand, then at the little girl whose eyes begged him to say yes. His heart, long frozen by years of loneliness, stirred with something he had not felt in a lifetime: belonging. He smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time I stopped running." The girl's face lit up brighter than the fires around them. She grabbed both their hands, holding them together. "See, Mom? I told you. I found him. I found the one who would stay." The mother's lips trembled, caught between laughter and tears. She bent down, pressing her forehead gently against her daughter's. "Yes, little star, you were right. That night the city gathered again, not in sorrow but in celebration. The ruins glowed with crystal lanterns, and for the first time the music was not broken by fear. The people sang softly, their voices carrying across the valley, rising like prayers. Daniel sat among them, the girl curled against his side. She had fallen asleep at last, her small hand clutching his sleeve, refusing to let go. The mother sat across from him, watching quietly. The firelight flickered across her face, softening her sharp features. "You know," Daniel said at last, his voice rough from battle and smoke, "on my world, birthdays are meant for happiness, for family, for remembering life, not death." Her eyes lowered. "For years this day was only pain, a reminder of what I lost, and now?" Daniel asked. She looked at him, her voice almost a whisper. "Now, it is the day hope returned." Daniel held her gaze. No more words were needed. They understood each other, not as strangers, but as two souls who had walked through fire and found something worth living for. The people cheered, lifting cups of glowing drink. Children danced among the lanterns. For the first time, laughter echoed without fear. The city, broken but alive, felt like it was breathing again. Later, when the fires burned low and the people drifted to rest, Daniel walked to the edge of the platform. The sky stretched endless above, filled with alien stars. He thought of Earth, of the long years of silence and solitude. For so long he had believed he was nothing but a wanderer in the dark. But now, he had a reason to stay. The mother joined him, standing quietly at his side. After a long silence, she spoke softly. "You came as a stranger. You could have left. Why did you stay?" Daniel exhaled slowly, his eyes still on the stars. "Because she asked me. And because I realized, maybe the universe isn't about the stars we see. Maybe it's about the people we choose to stand beside." She turned her head, studying him. For the first time, her lips curved into a true smile. Not fragile, not forced, but real. "You speak like him," she whispered. Daniel looked at her. "Like who?" Her eyes glistened. "Like the one I lost." A hush fell between them, heavy yet gentle. She did not say more, and he did not push. Some wounds never truly closed, but perhaps together they could learn to live with them. Behind them, the girl stirred in her sleep, whispering through a dream. "Dad, don't go." Daniel's chest tightened. He glanced at the mother, and she nodded slowly, giving silent permission. He bent down, brushing a strand of glowing hair from the girl's face. "I'm not going anywhere, little star. Not anymore." The night grew quiet, filled only with the hum of the lanterns and the whisper of alien winds. Daniel stood between a mother and her child, no longer an outsider, no longer lost. And for the first time in his long, lonely life, he felt the truth in his heart. He had found a family.